Time now to dive into the world of K-sports. Football, baseball, tennis, figure skating. Lots to cover today. And for that, we've got our sportscaster, Jason Lee, in the studio. Welcome back, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, the Asian Football Confederation's Under-23 Championship is currently underway in Saudi Arabia. And how is Team Korea doing so far?
Yeah, so far, they've had a couple of games already. They've got another game tonight. And, you know, they had what I would call a disappointing scoreless draw in their first contest against Iran last Wednesday. And then a 4-2 win against Lebanon on Saturday. That game was actually quite an adventure as well. But, you know, that means that they're currently in first place in Group C, but they still have a must-win game tonight against Uzbekistan to guarantee themselves of a berth in the quarterfinal round. See, Uzbekistan also has a win and a draw. Iran has 2 draws. So Korea, you know, if they were to lose and Iran were to win, well, Korea would be out. So they really need at least a draw tonight, but a win is really the sure way to make sure that they advance to the next round. And again, that game tonight against Uzbekistan, that will be at 8:30 p.m. Korean time. And, you know, not a lot of people will have recognized some of the names on the under-23 team just yet. But, you know, neither were Ki Sung-young or Koo Ja-chul before they led Korea to the bronze medal in the London Olympics back in 2012. So who knows if Kim Tae-won or Kang Sung-jin, Kim Hak-young, if these guys turn out to be the stars of the Korean national team in the years to come.
Right. That's going to be a very exciting game this evening.
Yes, very important.
We'll be cheering and crossing fingers. And now shifting to baseball, Korea has begun their training camp for the World Baseball Classic, which will be held in March now. I heard there were some interesting stories regarding possibility of Korean Americans representing the country this year.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. It's been talked about quite a bit recently, and it's not set in stone just yet. But the way the WBC works is that you can represent your country of birth or citizen, but you can also, if you choose, represent the country of either of your birth parents and where they were born. So I've said before that I think Korea is in a little bit of a talent lull compared to years past. And it's possible that Korea could employ a few major league players with connections to Korea. So some of the players that are being considered right now include Detroit Tigers outfielder Jahmai Jones, St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Riley O'Brien, as well as Atlanta Braves pitcher Dane Dunning, who are all Americans with Korean mothers. Another possibility is Seattle Mariners outfielder Rob Refsnyder, who was born in Korea, but then he was adopted by American parents at a young age. So he's been in overseas playing in Major League Baseball since. If any of these players represent Korea, however, it actually wouldn't be the first time that Korea has had a non-Korean represent them at the World Baseball Classic. Another biracial Korean, Tommy Edman, who has a Korean mother, he recently just won 2 straight World Series with the LA Dodgers, and he played for Korea at the previous event 3 years ago. But he's not going to be available for this year's team because he recently had ankle surgery to repair himself. So he is out. But some of these other players are possibilities, and I would say in particular the pitchers I think could be very helpful.
Well, let's see how the roster takes shape. And now, Jason, we're going to move on to tennis. Tennis fans in Korea were treated, to say the least, on the weekend in Incheon, watching a game of the 2 best players in the world. Tell us more.
Absolutely. And yeah, perhaps not just the 2 best players in the world, but I mean, you could argue that these are the 2 best players of this next generation. They might be the best players for the next 10, 15 years. Of course, I'm talking about Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, who actually both made their first ever visit to Korea. They played in front of around 15,000 fans and definitely entertained everyone in attendance. Alcaraz, who is ranked #1 in the world, took the match in straight sets, 7-5, 7-6. I might add, however, though, that each of those sets were very close. It was a back-and-forth game, and I think certainly Jannik did a great job as well. There's a good chance that we're actually going to see these two meet in the finals of the Australian Open, which actually starts next weekend in Melbourne. If you look back to the history, in particular the last 2 years, when it comes to Grand Slam events on the ATP Tour, the two of these players have won every single Grand Slam event, all 8 of them, between the two of them. And in most cases, they actually met each other in the finals. So when you talk about tennis rivalries, these guys are easily the 2 best in the world. And like I said, most likely for the next, I would say, decade, I think we can look forward to. And the people that went to Incheon to check out this exhibition match certainly got their money's worth.
Right, and I heard that it was like sold out.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just like that.
So sad I couldn't get my hands on one of the tickets. And now we want to talk about Olympics. The Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina is now less than 4 weeks away. And you're continuing to introduce us the Korea medal hopefuls. So today, who would you like to introduce to us?
Let's talk some figure skating. You know, when it comes to figure skating, hey, everyone knows Kim Yeon-ah. You know, of course, she won the gold medal in Vancouver back in 2010. She had to settle for, let's call it a controversial silver medal at the Sochi Olympics in 2014. But since then, really, no one has carried the torch for Korea in figure skating. But that might all change at these Olympics in Italy. Cha Jun-hwan has been a figure skating prodigy in Korea for quite some time now, even competing at the Pyeongchang Games in 2018 as a 15-year-old. He placed second at the World Championships in 2023. He's kind of been up and down since then. He's had a lot of issues with his skate boot in actuality, which has caused some problems. But he has clearly shown the potential to medal, possibly even win the gold medal, but he is going to have to put together a top performance if he wants to top the likes of Ilya Malinin, who is probably the favorite going in right now to Italy.
Well, now speaking of Kim Yeon-ah then, Jason, what about the women? I mean, probably Kim Yeon-ah inspired so many girls to, you know, do the same as her. So do you have any, like, hopefuls there?
Yeah, you know, I can tell you, going to ice rinks, certainly in the winter as of late as well, taking my kids to the rink, I can tell you that it's filled with girls practicing figure skating, coaches all over the place. So it's clearly figure skating is on the rise from a participatory standpoint. When it comes to competition, I mean, obviously, Kim Yeon-ah, she's inspired so many to want to get into figure skating, but things haven't worked out on the biggest stage for the top Korean figure skaters as of yet. Kim Chae-yeon, she did place third at the World Championships in 2024, but she's dealt with injury issues since then, and again, a right ankle injury basically derailed her season this past year. She did compete in Korea's recent national championship, but she had to settle for a 9th place finish, largely part due to that injury. So she was actually left off of Korea's entry for the Olympics despite being third in the World Championships just a year ago. However, Lee Hae-in, she won the silver medal at the World Championships in 2023. She will be one of the 2 Korean females to compete in Italy. And again, she may not be entering this Olympics as the favorite, but she definitely does have the ability to be a dark horse. I think she's within striking distance from an ability, talent standpoint to be able to medal. Perhaps if she gets lucky, challenge for the gold. But you never know. All it takes is a couple of the favorites to fall in one of their programs and to have a good program in the end. either of these skaters could lead Korea to a top medal.
Well, let's hope for that to happen. And I do remember, Jason, how you did mention Kim Chae-yeon before.
Yeah.
And that there are many hopes for her to grow. So those injuries, I really hope do not happen. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
The one thing I'll quickly say, though,
Sure.
is with Kim Chae-yeon as well as Lee Hae-in, both are like, I think, 2021. So even if things were not to work out at these Olympics in Italy, who knows, maybe even 4 years down the road, they should both be young enough to compete at the highest levels once again. So again, I mean, we're going to be hopeful. We'll see what happens this time around. But at the same time, even if things aren't ideal, maybe 4 years down the road, they'll still be in their prime.
Let's see. And I mean, medal or not, figure skating is always fun to watch.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And thank you very much, Jason, for those updates. Looking forward to next week.
Thank you, Jason.
And thank you, Bella. As always, we're going to have you back here on Thursday.
Yes, I'll see you back on Thursday.